Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. Tēnā koutou katoa. The Green Party does not believe that being rich is a crime, but it seems that the National Government believes that being poor is a crime. This bill today chooses to punish, abuse and discriminate against the children. This bill will entrench poverty. Even more people will need food banks and emergency housing. It will cause extreme hardship and fail to increase employment. It will ultimately cost the country more for its failures, costs borne by the most vulnerable. It is also debatable that it may be in breach of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities and also on the Te Tiriti or Waitangi and the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. This legislation could be described as rubbish, but if we're going to say that, what else should be done? Mr. Speaker, a lot more can be done to provide fair income support. A fair society is one that guarantees the essentials. If we guarantee the essentials, we guarantee the opportunities. Critically, an income support system must support and be supported by a commitment to full employment. An income support system can only operate as an effective safety net for those in need if there's an economic policy of full employment, so that all those who can and want to are able to get a decent job, which is hardly the situation we are facing at the moment. One of the claims used to drive up division between beneficiary communities and others is the cost of income support, which is what's driving this bill. The Welfare Working Group went to great lengths to dishonestly claim a $50 billion bill. And that kind of extremist, unsubstantiated claim only serves to prove how ideologically bound and irrational the Minister Paula Bennett's working group actually is. By manufacturing a crisis, they badly undermined their credibility. The claim has been roundly and widely condemned, even by the more conservative media, every day for the last couple of weeks. But what does it highlight? It highlights that the extremist right that Paula Bennett represents will be using the cost of income support as a stick by which they can beat the anti-beneficiary drum. As inaccurate as the numbers are, they will be effective in creating fear and driving up fear and distrust. But there is an alternative. We encourage everyone to get involved with the work of the Alternative Welfare Working Group. They're asking for submissions from citizens. This group is focused on welfare justice, on what families and children need to be healthy, happy and productive citizens, treated respectfully and with dignity. What different language, rather than the language of work test and punishment. The first public meetings of their group are next week on the 24th of August in Wellington, and we urge people to participate in those forums. And we know that the National Government has no solution to the issue, or they wouldn't have put up this bill. So what are the rational, sensible economic solutions that will provide support for individuals and families when they need it and ensure that every person who wants to and can work has a decent job? The Green Party has a raft of solutions that will meet both objectives in a cost-effective way. If we guarantee the basics, we can guarantee the opportunities. The fact is that there are choices that any government can make. National makes choices to undermine families in the economy. The Greens make choices that benefit families in our economy. One of our solutions is to repair the targeted financial support that discriminates against the children of beneficiaries. Children should not suffer any form of discrimination simply because of the source of their parents' income. All children need a loving, warm, dry home, safe, healthy food, high-quality public education and decent health care. But the children from the poorest families in Aotearoa, New Zealand, go without it. Not because their parents don't care, but because there is simply not enough money in beneficiary households to meet all their needs. Children without shoes, breakfast, school trips, etc. Children without their basic rights to good health and good education. You can give them all the budgeting advice in the world to their parents, but it will not help if there's not enough money to go around. Enforced budgeting will not get blood out of a stone. And those children in the worst poverty can eat stones, according to this bill, because their families rely on income support. Therefore, they do not get the in-work tax credit. So why then have a child support subsidy that discriminates against those children as the in-work tax credit does? We would deliver the in-work tax credit to 140,000 of the poorest families in Aotearoa, New Zealand. This would increase the incomes of the most vulnerable families and significantly lift their income. It would cost about $300 million per year, about half of Peter Dunn's regressive tax cut for the wealthiest families. Those who need the most should be the priority, not those who have the most. That measure alone would help to relieve some of the worst poverty, because a fair society is better for everybody. How then would the Greens support a full employment economy? Our communities are still suffering from the effects of the recession, and there are indications that the New Zealand economy will suffer another serious dip. The government is doing a Pollyanna, talking up recovery, but while government's wealthier constituents might be doing better, those at the bottom are not. And I talk to taxi drivers every day who laugh when I say to them, do you think the recession's over? Have you seen this in your life? And they're like, this is a ludicrous idea. When thousands turn up for just a few jobs, we know that New Zealanders are desperate for work, but the jobs are simply not there. And that is because we have not had a full employment policy for decades. And even with the recession, National has utterly failed to increase employment. National wrings its hands and claims it's all too hard. It's not. It's a matter of choice. Government could easily invest in job-rich infrastructure development if it chose. 2 weeks ago, the Housing Advisory Group released their report on social housing. It's a very comprehensive report with excellent recommendations about supporting third sector housing. But it also highlights the extent of the housing crisis in Aotearoa, particularly for those on the lowest incomes, that is, those needing income support. The report shows we have a deficit of 70,000 homes. It has also highlighted the inadequate private rental market is failing to provide affordable housing. More than half of the renters in private market require an accommodation supplement in order to pay their rent, which tells you a lot about the state of the housing market. We must invest in social housing. 3 in 4 homes are cold and unhealthy. 300,000 children live in housing that's too cold and damp to be healthy. Cold housing costs more than $500 million, leads to 50 admissions a day for respiratory illness, costs $54 million a year, 180,000 workdays lost to sickness, costing at least $17 million, and over $400 million being spent unnecessarily on power. We need more warm, dry homes. And so instead of this bill punishing the poor, one of the Green solutions is to build 6,000 new homes over the next 3 years. This could easily be done by government in partnership with the third sector. They're waiting to go. And it would create 28,000 new jobs. That is a plan towards full employment. That is a plan that costs less than half of the tax cuts to the wealthy. That is a plan that will house our families, protect our children, and give their parents desperately needed jobs. Today, National chooses to punish and condemn and discriminate through this legislation. You can dress it up how you like, but that's going to be the effects on the ground. Today, National chooses to leave thousands of children in poverty. A fair system provides the essentials for every child, and it's not impossible. It's about special benefit being returned. It's about in-works tax credit being extended. It's about housing. It's about warm homes. It's about progressive electricity pricing. It's about public education and adult education. It's about ensuring that parents can provide for their children because the state provides them with the basic opportunities. We are appalled by this bill. We've had to go through the whole process listening to the rhetoric, while on the other side we are receiving emails and lobbying every day from people on benefits saying, why are we being attacked? And I think those voices are really important. The voices of people who feel attacked, who are stigmatised by the sanction ethos, which threatens to take away but offers to create absolutely nothing. And that's why the Green Party has put out our plan, Mind the Gap, because if you're going to critique a bill as strongly as we have, you have to say what else you would do. You can't just critique it, and so we are. This is what else we would do. We would welcome the government adopting this kind of proactive approach on the basis that all children in Aotearoa, New Zealand deserve warm, healthy homes and income and food and clothing. It's not a very difficult baseline to commit to. A fair system that provides essentials is our fundamental principle, and we will be opposing this bill at this reading. And God help the poor of Aotearoa.